Hey everybody, I'm here to give you a tutorial on how to refresh your Acura key. I have an Acura TSX key that is for 2009 2014. I believe some other models are similar. I believe the MDX is similar, but you got to make sure to check with your manufacturer. But this is for a Acura TSX. As you can see, I have a key here. This is my stock key. It's pretty worn. You can't tell the lock button, the unlock button, and here's a close-up of the key. It's pretty worn. My panic button doesn't work. When I want to push down, nothing happens. And worst case is my flip-out key is really loose. What happens is that when I pull it out, it's supposed to lock into place, but mine doesn't. It freely goes back inward. This causes a problem when I stick it into the ignition. My key folds inward. So that's an issue for me, and I wanted to replace it. Acura charges $240 to replace that key. So what I did was I bought an eBay key for $30. It looks really similar to the OEM key. The only major difference is that the finish is a little bit different from the OEM key. Not much, but just a little bit different. The eBay key comes with a blank flip-out key, but you don't need it, so you don't have to worry about that. But it comes and flips out just like the. Now to do this project, you do need a small Phillips screwdriver, similar to an eyeglass repair case that you can get at any store. You also need a small flathead screwdriver, which in this case I have a dual one. So we'll go and start by unscrewing the bottom screw of the stock key there. You'll see it on the bottom right there. It's right above the keychain holder portion. You're going to get a Phillips screwdriver and unscrew the bottom key there. And once you have it unscrewed, you put the screw aside, and you're going to lift the silver piece upward towards you, like so, and it should pop out like that. Don't worry, my silver key is broken. Yours may be or may not be, but just ignore it. And what you're going to do next is you're going to pull that key piece outwards and get a good grip on it, and you're going to pull out. It should just come right off. There you go. So now you separated the key portion with the button portion, and you could go and take off the silver piece there. You don't need that silver piece there. Next is you're going to separate the cover of this key portion. It comes right off. You just have to get to the side there with your nail, and you're going to insert your nail or a flathead screwdriver, and you can pull it apart there. It comes across right easily. You may have some trouble, but pull it out right there, and you'll see it come across. So the cover is off now. And the panic button may fall off, so don't worry, just put the case and the panic button aside there, and that's how it looks with the cover case off and the buttons exposed there. So put the case aside, including the panic button, and we're going to focus on the buttons and getting out the circuit board. Now this piece has, you'll see on the edges there, you'll see a small seam all along the edges there. You're going to get a flathead screwdriver, and you're going to insert it into that seam there. So this is a good time to get that small. And what you're going to do with that flathead screwdriver is you're going to insert it into that seam there, like so. And you're just going to give it a slight little push, and it should come apart there. And this will expose the battery cover on the left, and then of course your button and circuit boards on the right there. Go and put the battery case aside. We're going to focus on the buttons and getting that circuit board out there. And make sure everything's organized and right. So how we're going to do this is there's a black retainer piece of metal. It's a really thin piece of metal. It's held on by 4 prongs, and you're going to push it and pull it out there. As you can see, you can pull it out. I have one side there, and you can pull out the other side there. I have a broken piece of my cover. Don't worry about that. Yours may be broken. Mine was, because my key's pretty tore up. So you're going to take off the 4 clips there that hold that little retainer piece of metal there onto the circuit board. And once you have everything apart, the circuit board should be exposed now. You can put the metal plate aside and go and see the circuit board here. Below the circuit board is a little rubber piece that protects the buttons and the circuit board. So you can put the circuit board down, and there you go. You have your exposed buttons there. You won't be reusing that rubber piece or that case, so you put that aside too. So there you go. Next is we're going to be focusing on the actual key itself, and we're going to take that off there. So you'll notice the key is inside. You can go and flip it out there. And we're going to take off that cover that is on top of the key. So this cover, if you look into this section here, you'll see a little clip that holds into there, and you're going to have another 2 clips there. You have a total of 3 clips that hold that cover on there. You get your small flathead screwdriver, and go ahead and stick it on that clip portion and push it to the left, and you're going to see it pop out there. And then now you're going to go to the right side and get the other two clips on the right side. There's only one on the left and two on the right there. So you want to be careful here. And go insert the flathead screwdriver and push upwards, and you'll feel the clip attach. And the cover should come right off there. Once you have the cover off, go and put it aside there. And now we have an exposed key with this spring mechanism. There's a plate that holds the spring mechanism. There's 3 screws, one right there, and a silver one on the top right there. What you're going to do is you're going to take off those screws with a small Phillips screwdriver there. And with your Phillips screwdriver, you have to apply a little bit of pressure down onto the key, onto the screw of where the screw goes into the key, and go and unscrew everything there and put the screws aside there. I've gone ahead and fast forward everything so you don't see me sit there unscrewing stuff. Now we have the plate exposed. Make sure to keep your finger on it because the spring may push it outwards. This plate rotates counterclockwise. So you're going to lift it up slightly and rotate it counterclockwise. And you go and lift up that plate, and it'll pull right off, and the spring will pop right there, and it'll be exposed there. You can put the plate aside and the spring aside there. And now you're left with just the key itself. You can slide this key upwards, and it should slide off right off. And there you have it. You have everything disassembled there. You're going to do the same thing and disassemble everything with the eBay key here. Same thing. You go and start with the bottom screw, and you unscrew it there. I'm going to fast forward everything because you don't want to watch everything again. So I took the cover off, and there's the buttons. Remove the battery, the cover, and remove the battery from the circuit board. And now we have everything disassembled here for thing. You want to keep everything separate. Your stock one on the right and your eBay key on the left. Make sure to keep everything separate so you stay organized here. And now we're going to go to the blank key there. We're going to do the same thing. The 3 prongs, we're going to take them off on the eBay key and pry off the case there. Now we're left the eBay key case. Same thing with the plate. You're going to notice there's only 2 screws on the eBay plate, so it's okay. We'll take off those 2 screws there. And now we're stuck with the plate, and we'll take off the plate there. Now the plate's off. Same thing as your stock one. You slide the key upwards and remove the eBay blank key, and you insert in your factory key there. So grab your factory key. Make sure that retainer metal portion's on the right. It's facing to the right. And you're going to insert that into the eBay housing here, eBay key housing, and it slides right in. Make sure it sits perfectly fine. There's nothing that's crooked or anything of that sort. And next, we're going to grab the eBay spring. Now, the spring's pretty particular. We look up close. There is 2 sides. The left side is straight looking, and the right side is a L-shaped diagonal that points downward. Now, that left side goes into the plate. You'll see a little hole on the plate right there. That straight side of the spring inserts into that little hole there. I'm having a little bit of trouble. I don't have the most steadiest hands, but there it goes. And you'll push that in there. And again, I don't have the most steadiest hands. I'll try to get it squared away. You want to make sure the spring sits perfectly fine and the L shape is pointing to the outside of that plate. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip it around. And that L-shaped spring, you're going to look into the key itself, and you'll see a hole on the left right there. The L-shaped spring portion inserts into that hole. And you're going to go and insert that into there. Make sure it fits good and the spring is seated properly. If you have everything in place, you should be able to rotate clockwise that plate downward. And you want to be careful and rotate it to where the holes for the screws match up perfectly with the plate there, and it should sit flush. You'll feel it kind of click into there. Once you get that in, you screw the 2 screws into the plate as so. Now you want to make sure that when you screw it, it screws in tightly, but you don't want to over tighten it where you strip the screws there. So just screw one halfway and grab the second screw and screw that second screw in there. And again, make sure to tighten it down. Now tighten both screws down, and don't over tighten because you don't want to strip the screws there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and make sure the screws are screwed in there. Remember, there's only 2 screws for the eBay key when there was 3 for the factory OEM key. So just you only use 2 for the eBay key here. And I'm having difficulties tightening, so bear with me here. The screws are small, and so I had difficulties tightening. Now once everything's screwed in, again, tighten it slightly. Don't over tighten, but make sure it's tight so the key doesn't fall out. And there you have it. Now you have your OEM key into the eBay housing with the eBay plate. And make sure it's tight, it's snug. It looks like it's way better than my stock one. It doesn't fall in, and it rotates up perfectly fine with the spring in place. So what we're going to do next is we're going to focus on the electronic portion. There's your stock electronics, there's the eBay electronics. We're going to use the eBay housing and eBay rubber piece, but you're going to put your stock OEM electronics into the eBay housing here. And it kind of goes in like so. What you want to make sure is to make sure the buttons are properly aligned. So you have 2 buttons on top and 2 buttons in the center, and just match it up with the housing there. And you push it in there, and it should fit really snug. And you'll see the edges are good. There's a little gap between the electronic board and the rubber housing. You're not going to use that little thin retainer piece of metal anymore. The eBay housing does not use that. So next up, you're going to match up the battery side with the electronic board. So that little electronic board with the silver piece goes where the battery is, and you fold it over and you kind of push it and everything into place, and you'll hear a little click, and that's how it looks. And now that we just put the cases back together and the key back together, make sure all the covers are back, and put the screw on the bottom, and make sure to test everything. Make sure all the buttons work, the key is properly functioned. The unlock key, the lock button, the trunk button, of course the panic button. And it looks like everything works. The buttons are lining up. Key's flipping out fine. It's sturdy. And there you have it. But one thing is that you're going to notice on the back of the eBay key is different from the factory key. You're not going to have the driver memory 1 of the factory key on the eBay key. That's only sucky part. And of course you won't have the Acura logo. But other than that, looks pretty much the same, and now you have a brand new, fresh looking key.